So there's lots of other stuff you can do. And I'm just going to run through them in this file here. So I've got all these resize things here. And again, this is all in the file that you can play around with. I'm going to go ahead and hit image to show down here because all of these different things use that image. And I'm going to go back to sunset. There we go. And I won't show it there. Okay, so transpose looks like this. Upside down. But also, it's hard to tell here, but notice this cloud is this cloud. So that's directly upside down. So flip top to bottom, as the name implies. Flip left to right. So I flip it the other way. And then transpose and transverse are really weird because what it does is it flips one corner with the other and then rotates it. So this one flips it horizontally and then rotates it a half a rotation or a 90 degrees to the counterclockwise. And then transverse is the opposite. Does the opposite thing. Those are used a lot for image analysis, not so much for image like decorations. Image rotate takes one argument, and that's the number of degrees that you want to rotate it. Okay, so, and it goes counterclockwise. So notice in this part, the new image, the corners of the original image are cut off and that's left black in the background. If I want to make sure I preserve the whole image, now this image is the same size as the original. Just the image itself is rotated in that space. But if I really want to save those corners of that image, I can use the expand. I can add expand equals true here. And what that says is expand the size of the image to include the whole original without cutting off the corners. I can also blur the image. This is just a slight blur. Can't tell too much there. And that's mostly because the image is so high resolution. If I want to blur it a little bit more, I can use something called box blur that takes an argument for how much I want to blur it. So this is with 5. So that you can see that that's getting a little blurry there with 5. Here it is with 30. Okay, so that's 30. You can't tell too much on this screen, but we're getting a little bit of weird, like horizontal lines. You can kind of see them in here with the waves. Box blur uses a type of box-shaped interpolation. So it uses a square shape to blur the image, which sometimes results in these weird lines, especially if the image already has that kind of shape going on. A more advanced blur, and this is sort of the gold standard for blurring things, is called Gaussian blur. It's a more advanced formula, and it results in a really smooth blur. You can kind of see the difference there. It doesn't have those weird lines in there. So that's a Gaussian blur. Then we also have some other fun effects. This one's called emboss. So that one doesn't do great on that image because it doesn't have a lot of hard edges. Let me show you with buildings. That does a really good job. Okay, so images / buildings. Let's try it on that image. So that's kind of a cool. It basically finds areas where there's light colored pixels next to dark colored pixels and creates an edge. And then it makes it look like it's embossed in paper. It's kind of a fun one. And then we have find edges, which just finds all of those edges but does not emboss them. Okay, so that returns all of the hard edges in the picture. That's another one that's really good for image analysis. And then edge enhance increases the edges. So it increases the contrast in the image. There are others, but I'll let you look for them. I can also convert that to a black and white image. Okay, using convert and then L. I'm not sure what the L comes from, but this means convert it to a black and white image. So if I convert that, get a nice black and white image. Actually, technically called grayscale. And then some of the other things that we can do here. If I look at these, let me see, image. I'm going to go image. Okay, so I'm going to show that image as an original, and then I did a little filter here where we can play around with it. And so let's go back to our sunset. Why not? Okay. So I'm going to show the image, and then I'm going to run this image. Where image name came from. All right. Image show. There we go. So I've got the original, and there's a filtered image. That looks like old-timey film that maybe has been overexposed or something like that. But that actually is kind of what we're going to learn on Wednesday. Is I'm going to show you how to take apart an image, because one of the things that I'm doing with this image is I'm taking the red, green, and blue pixels apart, playing with them separately, and then putting it back together. So you can do that too. And that's what a lot of Instagram filters do, especially the ones that make them look like old time images and things like that. I can adjust this to make it feel warm or cool, or put film artifacts on it, or all kinds of things. So there's a lot of fun stuff you can do there. And we're going to go a little deeper on next time. But what I would suggest that you do today, or in the meantime, is use this pillow practice file. Make sure that you can open an image, and make sure that you can display an image. And also a few other things that you might think about trying to do. Let me get through that part. Okay, so there's remember the OS module that we use to see if a file exists? There's one called list dir that will show you all of the images in a folder as a list. So you could say for file in os.lsdir, and the path, you could use the current folder, and it would show you all the images. That's a great way to allow users to select images to open. So using a menu to load an image, just try some of these different things. Saving an edit image file using a user input name. Think about how you might make an image editing program or how it might work. Now, next time, I'm going to show you some cool stuff. I'm going to show you how to take apart an image, red, green, and blue, and put it back together. I'm going to show you how to make an image filtering program. I'm also going to show you how to write on images using text and fonts. So you can create images, write things on them, and play around with them that way. So a lot of fun stuff coming up on Wednesday. And then the end result is you're going to be building a program that allows the user to open image files and edit them in Python, which is kind of, I don't know, I think it's kind of fun. So anyway, that's kind of where we're headed. And that's it for today, but you got like 20 minutes if you want to play around a little bit. Yes.